Most people stand beside a river and notice nothing except flowing water, moving current, ordinary gravel, mud, sand, and scattered stones shaped by time. But skilled prospectors observe something entirely different. They recognize pressure zones, ancient flood behavior, hidden pathways where dense minerals naturally collect over long periods of time. Because rivers do not distribute material randomly. Every bend in the channel, every exposed section of bedrock, every sudden change in water velocity, changes where heavy minerals settle. And what makes this even more fascinating, some of the strongest gold indicators are almost invisible to beginners. Subtle black sand streaks trapped between gravel layers, compact sediment hidden beneath larger stones, unusual current seams moving differently than surrounding water, heavy mineral pockets preserved after ancient flood events. Small environmental details most people ignore completely, because experienced prospectors are not simply searching for visible gold. They are studying the river itself. Most beginners imagine gold hunting as pure luck, walking into random water, scooping gravel into a pan, hoping something valuable appears. But professionals understand something deeper. Gold follows predictable physical laws. It is one of the heaviest naturally occurring metals on Earth, which means moving water affects it differently than ordinary sediment. Lighter material gets carried downstream quickly. Fine sand shifts constantly with the current, but dense minerals behave another way entirely. They slow down, they settle, they become trapped wherever river energy weakens enough to release them, which means rivers quietly leave clues long before visible gold ever appears. But here's the surprising part. The hardest part of river prospecting is not recovering gold. It is understanding where the river wants to hide it. Initially, most rivers appear chaotic: fast current, scattered gravel, water colliding against exposed stone from every direction. Nothing organized, nothing obvious. But trained eyes begin recognizing structure inside the movement. Slow current seams forming near inside bends. Heavy gravel trapped behind large boulders. Dark mineral concentration resting inside exposed bedrock fractures. Flood-deposited sediment compacted above the active waterline, because rivers constantly separate material according to weight and density. And if gold exists anywhere upstream, the river naturally attempts to concentrate it downstream. So the real question becomes, what advanced river clues do experts actually rely on? The answer begins with river energy itself, because gold rarely settles where water moves aggressively. It settles where river force weakens suddenly. Inside bends where pressure drops. Behind natural barriers interrupting the current. Deep cracks in exposed bedrock, where dense material becomes trapped during floods. To most people, these locations appear completely ordinary. A shallow gravel bar, a narrow current seam, dark sediment resting quietly behind exposed stone. Easy to overlook entirely. But experienced prospectors recognize something critical. Even small reductions in water velocity can create major differences in heavy mineral concentration. A slight change in current strength may determine whether gold keeps moving downstream or settles permanently into the riverbed. Eventually, attention shifts toward one unusual section of river. At first, nothing appears remarkable. Water moving steadily across gravel, scattered rocks lining the channel, ordinary sediment stretching along the riverbed. But several advanced clues begin standing out immediately. Black sand trapped deep inside bedrock cracks, rounded heavy gravel sitting beneath lighter sediment layers, a natural pressure drop forming behind exposed boulders, compact flood deposits preserved above modern water flow, and gradually, the river starts revealing its hidden structure, because experienced prospectors understand something beginners often miss completely. Modern rivers preserve evidence from ancient floods too. Violent seasonal flooding moves enormous amounts of heavy material. Dense minerals shift during periods of extreme current pressure, and once flood energy weakens, gold settles into natural trap zones that may remain productive for decades. Which means today's river often contains clues left behind by older river systems hidden beneath the surface. But even after identifying promising terrain, the gold itself still remains invisible. Careful sampling begins slowly. Compact gravel removed from exposed bedrock cracks. Heavy sediment collected near current interruptions. Dark mineral concentrate separated through controlled panning. At first, nothing valuable seems visible. Only dense mineral grains, dark sediment, ordinary-looking concentrate mixed with river material. And this is exactly where many beginners stop too early, because advanced river prospecting rarely produces instant visual success. The first objective is confirmation, determining whether heavy minerals concentrated correctly, understanding whether flood behavior created stable trap zones, verifying whether the river structure matches productive geological conditions. Because expert prospectors understand something important. The river reveals its secrets gradually. Then something changes. Tiny reflective signals begin appearing inside the concentrate, barely visible, almost microscopic, but impossible to mistake. Natural gold. And suddenly, every advanced clue starts making sense. The black sand, the pressure drop, the compact gravel layer, the exposed bedrock fracture trapping dense material beneath the current. The river was concentrating gold naturally the entire time. Now the investigation becomes more focused. Additional samples collected along current seams. Bedrock cracks cleaned carefully beneath shallow flow. Flood gravel tested higher above active water levels. Heavy mineral zones mapped throughout the river system. And slowly, the pattern becomes stronger. Black sand concentration increases sharply. Heavy gravel becomes more compact. Gold flakes appear more consistently within specific zones. And suddenly, the river no longer feels random at all. Because beneath the moving current, an organized natural sorting system has been operating continuously for centuries. But advanced prospecting changes people mentally too. Because once prospectors begin understanding river behavior, every environmental detail starts carrying meaning. Current speed, sediment layering, the angle water strikes exposed stone, the shape of gravel resting beneath the surface. Small details begin revealing enormous geological stories. Experienced prospectors stop viewing rivers as scenery. They begin seeing them as machines. Natural systems constantly sorting Earth's materials according to size, density, and weight. Then the situation shifts unexpectedly. Fresh samples begin producing weaker signals. Black sand concentration decreases sharply. Heavy material becomes inconsistent again. And this is where many prospectors fail completely, because productive river systems are rarely uniform. Flood behavior changes constantly. River pressure shifts seasonally. Gold concentration moves according to current force and bedrock structure, meaning rich zones can disappear suddenly, then reappear unexpectedly nearby. So the search continues, more carefully this time. Then one advanced clue changes everything. A narrow seam of slower current flowing beside exposed bedrock. Dense black sand trapped deep inside a fracture system. Large rounded stones locking heavy material beneath them. And inside that hidden pressure zone, a much stronger signal suddenly appears. Not one tiny gold flake, several. Larger, brighter, heavier than before. And now, the river's hidden structure finally becomes obvious, because moving water had been concentrating dense minerals into that exact location naturally for years, maybe even decades. The frame tightens over the dark mineral layer resting beneath the moving water. At first, only faint reflections appear between the black sand. Then something remarkable emerges. A brighter gold fragment settles heavily into the bottom layer, dense, clearly visible beneath the concentrate, resting motionless against the darker sediment around it. And for a moment, the river no longer feels ordinary at all, because hidden beneath flowing water, nature created an incredibly precise sorting system capable of trapping real gold. Careful separation continues. Additional flakes appear beside the larger fragment. More heavy concentrate recovered from bedrock traps and current seams. A hidden placer system shaped entirely by water pressure and natural physics. Not discovered through luck alone, but through observation, geology, and understanding advanced river behavior. Because expert prospectors do not search randomly. They study patterns, pressure changes, flood behavior, and the way rivers naturally organize heavy material over time. And this is the key lesson. The advanced river clues experts use are not mysterious. Pressure drops, black sand concentration, bedrock fractures, flood gravel layers, current seams, heavy mineral traps hidden beneath ordinary water flow. because gold behaves predictably inside moving water systems, and rivers quietly reveal those patterns to anyone patient enough to study them carefully. There are places on Earth so isolated, so empty, so silent, that almost nobody would ever think gold exists there. No towns, no roads, no machines, just endless wilderness stretching beyond the horizon. And yet, some of the richest gold discoveries in history were found in places exactly like this, hidden far away from civilization, buried beneath remote rivers, ancient gravel, and forgotten mountain systems. And what makes this even stranger? The farther people traveled into the unknown, the more gold they sometimes found, because isolation protects discoveries. The harder a place is to reach, the longer its secrets survive. And deep inside those untouched regions, nature continues hiding evidence in silence. Ancient floods reshape rivers. Heavy minerals settle beneath gravel layers. Quartz veins erode slowly across mountain systems, which means some deposits may still remain exactly where they formed long ago. Most people imagine gold hunting near old mining towns, crowded rivers, popular locations, places already explored thousands of times. But experienced prospectors understand something important. Remote places matter because untouched land still exists. Ancient river systems remain hidden. Old geological structures survive without disturbance. And somewhere inside those isolated regions, gold may still remain exactly where nature left it centuries ago. But here's the surprising part. The hardest part of remote gold hunting is not finding gold. It's surviving the environment long enough to search for it. At first glance, the landscape appears empty, dry hills, dense forest, cold rivers cutting through rock formations. Nothing suggesting value beneath the surface. But experienced hunters see the environment differently. Ancient water channels, heavy gravel layers, quartz-rich mountain zones, iron-stained rock exposures, black sand concentration near bends in bedrock, small geological details hidden across enormous terrain. Because gold rarely appears randomly, it follows patterns, and in remote places, those patterns may remain untouched for generations. Some valleys preserve ancient flood systems. Some rivers still carry microscopic traces from hidden deposits upstream. Some mountain fractures continue releasing mineral-rich material into remote waterways. And over time, nature slowly concentrates heavy minerals where water movement weakens. So the real question becomes, how do people hunt gold in places where almost nobody else has ever searched? The journey begins long before any gold appears. Remote prospecting means isolation, no nearby supplies, no guaranteed communication, no certainty of success, only rough terrain and geological possibility. At first, the environment feels endless, miles of untouched ground stretching in every direction. And this is where most people quit immediately, because remote gold hunting is physically exhausting. Heavy equipment becomes difficult to transport. Weather changes suddenly. Water sources become unpredictable. And every mistake feels larger when civilization disappears behind you. The farther the expedition moves into the wilderness, the quieter everything becomes. No engine sounds, no distant traffic, only wind moving across rock formations and water flowing through isolated valleys. And here's what makes this even more dangerous. Some gold-rich regions exist in the exact environments humans struggle to survive in naturally. Extreme heat, mountain isolation, dense jungle, frozen rivers, wild animal territory, flood zones. The conditions that preserve hidden deposits are often the same conditions that keep people away from them. Eventually, attention shifts toward the landscape itself. River bends cutting sharply through gravel bars, heavy dark sediment trapped behind exposed rocks, quartz fragments scattered near steep cliffs. At first glance, the clues appear insignificant, easy to overlook, but experienced hunters understand something critical. Nature concentrates heavy materials predictably, and if gold exists nearby, the landscape usually leaves evidence first. Small changes in river flow matter. Tiny bedrock cracks matter. Even the color of sediment can reveal hidden mineral concentration. Because experienced prospectors study details most people ignore completely, dark, compact gravel often signals heavy material concentration. Rounded stones can reveal ancient river energy, and exposed bedrock cracks may trap dense minerals for generations. But even after finding the right terrain, the
Estimate, or is
gold
that
still
a
Might
rock?
be.
remains
I
invisible.
don't know.
I'm in.
Small test samples begin first, shovels digging into compact gravel, sediment collected carefully near bedrock, heavy concentrates separated beside moving water. At first, nothing visible appears, only black sand and ordinary river material. But remote prospectors rarely expect immediate results, because the first goal is not finding large gold, it's confirming the system, determining whether heavy minerals are concentrating correctly, whether ancient water movement carried dense material through the area, whether the geology matches productive conditions. Then something changes. Tiny metallic flashes begin appearing inside the concentrate, barely visible, almost microscopic, but unmistakable, real gold. Now the search becomes more focused. Additional samples collected upstream. More gravel tested near exposed bedrock. Ancient flood layers examined carefully, and gradually, the pattern strengthens. Black sand concentration increases. Heavy gravel becomes more compact. Gold flakes appear more consistently. And suddenly, the wilderness no longer feels empty, because hidden beneath the silence, the environment is revealing a gold-bearing system. But remote gold hunting changes people mentally too. Days pass without seeing anyone. No city noise, no lights. Only weather, water, and terrain. And in isolated regions, small discoveries feel enormous. A single gold flake becomes proof, evidence that the landscape may contain far more hidden below the surface, which creates an unusual psychological effect. Hope increases, curiosity intensifies, and the wilderness begins pulling hunters deeper into the search. The farther the expedition continues, the more every river bend begins looking important. Every gravel bar becomes suspicious. Every exposed rock formation feels like a possible clue. Then suddenly, the trail appears to disappear. New test pans show almost nothing. Concentrates weaken. Gold becomes inconsistent. And this is where many expeditions fail, because geological systems are rarely uniform. Gold concentrations shift constantly depending on ancient river behavior and bedrock structure, meaning productive zones can vanish suddenly, then reappear unexpectedly nearby. So the search continues, more carefully this time. Then one unusual location changes everything. A narrow section of river hidden between exposed rock walls. Heavy black sand trapped against bedrock cracks. Large rounded stones cemented into ancient gravel layers. And beneath that compact sediment, a stronger gold signal suddenly appears. Not one flake, several. Larger, brighter, heavier than before. And now, the isolation finally makes sense, because untouched terrain preserved the concentration zone for decades, possibly centuries. The camera zooms slowly toward the concentrate, water moving carefully across dark sediment. At first, only small reflections appear. Then, a larger gold fragment settles heavily at the bottom, dense, bright, completely separated from surrounding material. And suddenly, the empty wilderness no longer feels empty at all, because hidden deep inside remote terrain, the river protected real gold all along. Careful separation continues. Additional flakes appear beside the larger fragment. More heavy concentrate trapped naturally within cracks in gravel layers. A forgotten gold system surviving far away from modern civilization. Not discovered through luck alone, but through understanding geology, water movement, and isolation itself. Because remote gold hunting depends on patience more than speed, the landscape reveals its secrets slowly. And this is the key lesson. Remote gold hunting is about pattern recognition, ancient river systems, heavy mineral concentration, bedrock traps, geological indicators, because gold behaves predictably in nature. And isolated environments often preserve those patterns better than heavily explored locations, which means some of the best discoveries may still exist far beyond populated areas. Most people fail at remote gold hunting because they underestimate the environment. They search random locations, they ignore geological clues, they stop after weak results, and they expect immediate discoveries instead of reading the landscape carefully, which means valuable systems often remain hidden in places already filled with natural evidence. But even now, there are enormous wilderness regions across Earth that remain barely explored for placer gold. Ancient river valleys hidden beneath forests, mountain systems difficult to access, remote deserts preserving untouched gravel layers. And every year, floods, erosion, and shifting rivers continue exposing new material naturally. Storms uncover fresh bedrock. Landslides expose ancient gravel channels. River currents remove layers of sediment that hid heavy minerals for generations. Some rivers still flow through valleys no modern prospector has fully explored. Some mountain systems continue hiding untouched placer deposits beneath compact gravel, and some geological structures remain invisible beneath dense wilderness terrain, which means hidden gold concentrations may still be waiting in places almost nobody visits. And finally, the recovered gold rests beneath focused light beside dark black sand concentrate, tiny fragments extracted from one of the most isolated environments imaginable. A hidden deposit protected not by secrecy alone, but by distance, terrain, silence, and the sheer difficulty of reaching it. This was never just about hunting gold. It was about entering places untouched by modern life, learning how rivers shape heavy minerals, how geology leaves clues across enormous landscapes, and how isolation itself can preserve extraordinary discoveries for generations. Because sometimes, the most valuable places on Earth are the ones people avoid completely. But the real question remains, how many hidden gold systems still exist deep inside remote wilderness today? What ancient rivers remain unexplored beneath mountains and forests? And how many discoveries are still waiting in places so isolated that almost nobody will ever reach them? Because somewhere out there, the wilderness may still be hiding gold exactly where nature left it long ago.